Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online B2 visa consultant. Are you interested about migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Now, as you have clicked into this video, obviously you're interested about New South Wales, or perhaps listen to some of the thoughts that I have in regard to New South Wales. Obviously, a couple of months ago, I did post a video basically commenting about the skill list that the New South Wales does have, which has some sort of EOI points above 100 points. And it has been widely criticized, and I did receive email directly from New South Wales as well, talking about, well, it isn't true or whatnot. But what happened these couple of days, I think they had actually listened to what I have suggested. So let's have a look. And we also, I'd like to also answer a question whereby is skill migration, migrating to New South Wales, Sydney in particular, a good solution or good choice? I'll have that answer at the end of this video, but let's have a look. Anyway, so New South Wales migration website, you may, well, comment, Google, and you may find this a couple toggle buttons here. This is for business investor, 190 visa, 491 visa. Now, specifically over the weekend, when I click on the skill list, the occupation list, I don't know why they call skills list, it's just a skill occupation list, but they just don't like to have the same name as what the federal government has already named them. But anyway, when I click on this link on the weekend, it has not been updated for some reason. Well, they have announced it, but they just don't like to update the stuff on the same day, so I don't know what they're doing. But anyway, it seems to be they had listened, probably as they are also one of my subscribers as well. I really appreciate it on that one too. But anyway, they have updated this finally. So when we click on this one, this appears to be an updated information with subclass 190 and also 491. Unfortunately, nothing much has changed for 491. As you can see, they are still points and experiences required for 491. I don't understand why they change 190 but not changing 491. I think they should make 491 more attractive, because they should be attracting skilled migrants to regional New South Wales. Isn't that the way to do it? I mean, Queensland, if you have lower points, as long as you're in regional Queensland, you get more. You get invited. South Australia does it. If you're away from Adelaide, no problem. If you're, we invite you with a better criteria. I mean, easier criteria. Everywhere else does it. But look at this. The New South Wales one, 491, has a much harder criteria compared to 190, because what they have done last week was they basically removed all the points requirements, the minimum points requirement, and the experiences for subclass 190. So what's gonna happen? That's gonna, well, all the skilled migrants in New South Wales will say, well, forget about regional New South Wales. Why go into Riverina? Why go into northern part or inland? What's the point? Let's just stick with 190, because the criteria for 190 is lower than the 491, isn't it? I mean, what should I say? I don't understand. But let's check out some trend. Obviously, over the weekend, we have checked out the migration planning level, where it was obviously published by the Department of Immigration Home Affairs, showing that the increase from 160,000 up to 195,000. So the big changes is between the skill independent and also the state and territory nomination. So as you can see, back in 2021 and 22, let's have a look at that one there. Now, the skill independent was only 6,500 places, quota, should I say. But the state and territory nomination is almost double of that. Okay, and also the regional is double of that. Obviously, back then, the government is heavily promoting regional skill migrations. So again, goes back to New South Wales. Why do they have a harsher 491 criteria, which is for regional, compared to the, if you're staying in Sydney? Anyhow, now, so for 2022 and 23, they had matched it. They bump every single category of skill migration apart from the business investment and also the GTI. So the state territory is 31,000 and the skill independent is 32,100. Now, if we go back down here, we can see that New South Wales does have a lot of placements there being allocated. Now, I wanted to take you back further. Now, back before the whole system was crashed into delaying stuff. So if we look at something like this, now I'm taking you back into, this is 2018 and 19, just before pandemic. See what's happening here is, if we continue to compare this skill independent, okay, so both onshore and offshore, the total number was 34,247 compared to the state and territory nomination with a total number of 25,346. It's almost like 10,000 differences back in the old days. Now, unfortunately, I do not have a further backdated information there. I think I can dig it out, but the trend back then was the subclass 189 is actually more favorable, has more quota than the state nomination. Now, what happened back in those days before pandemic? Remember, back then the Prime Minister Scott Morrison coined the idea that it's too congested, too many migrants. They're gonna reduce the migration quota. So start that from that year onwards, they have reduced the migration program down to 160,000. And the whole thing has just, basically, according to the current government, it has just been crashed. Now, why do I show all these data and information? Basically, I wanted to tell you the trend. Back then, subclass 189 is the majority trend back then. Seems to be, today is 2022 December, seems to be that trend is coming back. So, federal government is taking away the rights and the numbers from the state and territory. What happened for the past 3 years, for the past probably 10 years, the state and territory nomination has become so complex. So complex. If you have been following my channel long enough, you probably want to search that playlist for 491 visa. That's generally for all the state and territory criteria. Every state and territory criteria is different, and that makes the whole process so hard and so tough, and no one's gonna understand and remember all of them. During the weekend, on my weekends video, I've shown you Tasmania for the 190 and 491 visa criteria, and there are 3 or 5 pathways, and within each pathway there are category of gold, green and orange. Come on, it's the smallest economy state in Australia. Why do you require to make it so complex? But anyway, seems to be the trend is coming back. So, okay, the last but not least, obviously, start from this video, I answer this question. Should you really consider to actually go to Sydney, New South Wales? And considering this New South Wales skills list, which I still feel a little bit awkward because they make the people staying in the city more favorable than people staying in regional, because regional does have required to have all this, and they need to be in regional and working there. And for 190, there's no experience required. and there is no points, minimum points required here. What's the signal there? That the signal is stay in Sydney. Don't go anywhere in New South Wales. Just stay in Sydney. So, okay. Now, obviously, after they watch my video, or perhaps other YouTubers, there's a lot of other migration professionals doing videos as well. Will they change? Well, yes, they always change. But should you really consider? Now, what I would say is, unless you really love New South Wales and Sydney, to really consider skilled migration, you really need to look at a couple of things. One, obviously, is this state giving out a consistency of their criteria, or do they change all the time? Obviously, you want to stay with somewhere they have a consistency of their policies. Give you an example, South Australia and Queensland has done a quite well job on that one. Their changes, they do change, but they don't go from up and down all the time. Victoria wasn't really good because before July, Victoria's policy was extremely complicated and hard as well. They have those target sector thing, which no one could actually meet the requirement. So you need to really watch for that area there. And secondly, obviously, you need to check out the competition, the competitiveness of that state. Not the state competing with other state, but you need to check out how many people is actually there and who are your competitors. Remember, the skilled migration program in Australia is invitation based. So the higher the point you have, the more prioritized you are. Now, obviously, if you want to go to Northern Territory, probably you get invited, but probably not the best state that you wanted to go. So you really need to pick somewhere that is good. Now, for New South Wales, obviously the competition is high. There are so many people because they have so many universities. Obviously, they generate a lot of international graduate, and every year or every semester ends, they're adding competitors in the pool. So you really need to think about this. And obviously, the best thing and the best advice I should have for you is, once you graduated, stick with your occupation and get employed. As long as you're employed, you're fine. You even if you don't get 189 or 190, you can go through employment sponsored visa because they have just recently increased the quota for it. Anyway, should you have more question or query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below, and I see you next video. Goodbye.